Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the gun store, Canik has teamed up with Taran Tactical to produce a new version of its popular competition race gun. It's built following the rival design with several changes, and it's called the TTI Combat.
Canik has a new gun out. It's called the TTI Combat. The TTI stands for Taran Tactical Industries. And the co-branding or partnership is pretty visible when you look at the gun. It's got the Taran Tactical logo stamped all over it. I count at least 6 different places on the outside of the gun where you can see that logo. But beneath the changes, and we'll talk about those in more detail in a bit, but beneath those changes, it is fundamentally a Canik, and it is the top of the line Canik, made for competition. It's basically the modern polymer framed race gun for those people on a budget, or perhaps, regardless of budget, just maybe the smart buyer. So I've been looking forward to shooting it. I'm going to do just that now. All right, I'll slow down in a minute and see if I can figure out exactly where the aim point is, but it looks like it likes to be a little on the low side, which should mean point of aim, point of impact, as opposed to a 6 o'clock. Looks like it might want a combat hold. So let me slow down with 10 rounds from a regular Canik magazine. This is not one of the magazines that comes with this pistol. It is an 18 rounder. This one actually came with the SFX steel frame, and it fits and functions just perfectly. I would switch to a different target, but you guys can't see that. So I'm going to stay on this one. All these targets, by the way, are TA targets. And if you're interested, when you should be if you shoot steel, I have a discount code. Be sure you use that. I am going to go off camera here a sec. Yep. Uh-oh. One little mouth. My first Ralph mouth. You're going to have to be fairly old to understand that reference. So that was the last round in that magazine. And it was sort of a semi-horizontal stovepipe. I'm shooting Federal ammo, by the way. Until I say different, I'm shooting Federal 115 grain ball.
Visually, it looks very similar to the Lipsy's exclusive rival model that I featured on this channel a year or so ago, but the differences are significant. So let's start with the basic specs of the pistol and go from there. The gun weighs 29.5 ounces, and it's carbon steel slide on a polymer frame with some aluminum components. That slide is finished with a bronze Cerakote finish, as are many of the accented parts. It stands 5.87 inches tall, it swells out to 1.41 inches wide, and it has an overall length of 7.85 inches. The barrel's 4.6 inches long, and it has spiral fluting to reduce friction and maintain lubrication, while also giving any dirt or grit a place to exit. 2 magazines are included with the gun. Both are 18-round magazines, but one is pre-fitted with the TTI +3 base plate for a 21-round capacity. The TTI Combat is compatible with other Canik standard magazines. It is, of course, a 9mm semi-automatic handgun with striker-fired action. Now, let's talk about all the things that make the TTI Combat unique. The bronze metallic coloring of the Cerakote adds some bling and distinguishes the gun from other Canik models. The slide has lightning cuts to reduce weight and speed cycling, as well as making less mass reciprocating, which can reduce felt recoil. To further reduce the recoil and muzzle lift, the TTI Combat features a ported barrel and a muzzle compensator. The ports allow gas to escape upward during fire, and as we all remember from our physics lessons, that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, which in turn pushes the muzzle downward. And the compensator remains on the muzzle end during firing, which not only provides an uninterrupted flow of upward gases, but it keeps more weight at the end of the barrel. The objective of all this is a flat-shooting handgun. Competitors love flat-shooting handguns because the recovery time is short and the sights tend to stay more on target. Those fractions of a second add up over the course of a match and can be the difference between winning and losing.
That's how many extra rounds you get with the second magazine that's provided. It has the Taran Tactical +3 extended base pad. As far as I know, the spring is still the same, and that can sometimes be a concern, but so far I haven't noticed any problem. Okay, I've expanded my view downrange so you can see all of my targets. Those are all TA targets, and again, use the discount code that you'll find down below in this video and save 10%. All right, let's stretch this thing out a little bit. Go for the paddles. It was a hit, but it didn't move. That happens. Yeah, I think we're looking at a combat hold for sure. Look at that dead center hit. Once again, that was with the standard 18-round magazine, by the way, in case you're wondering about the spring. I was wondering about that myself. Okay, 21 rounds now in the extended magazine. I'm just going to keep going around the array and having a little fun. Get a feel for these sights, which are very nice, by the way, visibility-wise. Typically, I like a tight 6 o'clock hold, but for a competition gun, for action pistol, I have to say I think combat is a better way to go. So it was a smart move to design the sights this way. Because if you're shooting in a match, you're trying to go fast and then not suck. That's what you want. Man, this thing is dialed in though, right out of the box. What a shooter. All right, well, you can go through some ammo quick when you got a gun like this.
The compensator is a quick detached design and it does not require the barrel to be threaded. Behind that compensator is a set of very aggressive forward serrations. They get the job done for those who like to run the slide from up front, and they look nice too. The front sight is fiber optic with a green filament, It's made by Hi-Vis, a reputable sight maker that's been around for years. It's mounted in a dovetail. Also dovetail mounted is the rear sight. It's fairly small in size, and it's a blackout sight with anti-glare serrations. Canik says it's adjustable, but that's only by drifting it in the dovetail mount for windage. Underneath is a generous Picatinny rail section with 3 grooves to help accommodate any accessory you might need to attach. The ambidextrous slide stop levers are very eye-catching as well as functional. Not only are they in matching bronze color, but they're also aggressively cut for better grip. That might seem unimportant unless you've ever had your thumb slip trying to drop the slide on a reload, and that can cost you almost a full second.
All right, going to shoot a little slower now. Talk about the gun as I experience it. One of the things I love about the Canik pistols is the really long ambidextrous slide release. It's easy to reach without changing your grip, and I appreciate that. Of course, this gun has the compensator out front. There are 2 ports in the top of the barrel. Whether or not it really makes a difference, I think I'd have to do a comparison. And I probably could be talked into doing just that very soon. Extended magazine release button is great. Again, don't have to alter my grip, and it's easy to reach, easy to access, and it works just perfect. So that kind of takes us to the trigger. I talked about the sights, which are excellent. Very high visibility, blacked out, serrated back. But that brings us to the trigger. The trigger is extremely nice. But I don't know if it's any better than, say, the steel frame version. That might be something I need to compare to. And I did dry fire the two, and it feels real close. My initial perception was that the steel frame actually felt like it had a slightly lighter trigger, but that's extremely difficult to tell between the two. So I'll put a gauge on them at some point during an almost guaranteed comparison in the very coming near future. In the very coming near future, or the very near coming future? What was I trying to say?
The locking block release tabs are also bronze in color and have excellent texture. The magazine release is semi-extended, well-textured, and is, of course, bronze. It's not ambidextrous, but it is able to be easily configured for either right-hand or left-hand use. The texture of the grip frame and the replaceable backstrap is more aggressive than on previous Canik models. A seemingly random pattern of triangular points of different shapes and heights, they provide excellent grip without an abrasive feel. The aluminum magwell makes reloads fast and easy. It's removable if need be. It also adds a nice locking point for a two-handed combat grip. Like the rival, the TTI Combat is pre-cut for optics. Canik provides the plates and the tools, all the screws, everything you need to mount a red dot. If you prefer open sights, as I often do, that cover plate is nicely serrated and matches the slide. This brings us to the trigger, perhaps the single most famous component of the Canik brand, and for good reason. Aside from the small TTI logo and of course the bronze trigger safety, I can't see any difference between the rival trigger and the TTI Combat trigger. As triggers on production guns go, it's one of the best you can get. Very crisp break with a short tactile reset. I measured it at 4.5 pounds consistently. The extra wide trigger shoe and the checkered grip face of the trigger safety make it easy to run fast all day long. The TTI Combat comes in a deluxe type case, complete with special product ID plates inside and out. The case is heavily lined with custom-cut foam that holds the pistol, the magazines, and lots of accessories. It's actually a double-layer case. The gun comes with multiple back straps, adapter plates for red dot sights, custom tools and fasteners, and even a very nice competition-ready holster. Canik even includes a second recoil spring and guide rod assembly for lower power loads. This gives competitors the option to power down the spring to match lighter match loads.
I love the ergonomics of the Canik handguns. They really have done a fantastic job making them feel like they're just an extension of your hand. There are 3 different back straps, one included obviously in the gun, which probably is the medium, and then you have small and large as well. I tend to just sort of stand pat with the medium. That feels good enough to me, and I like it just fine. The texture on this grip is different. Everything about the gun is just so conducive for good shooting and fast shooting. And hopefully good fast shooting. Let's see if I can get that sliver of a target. Yes, I did. I don't think I had a single miss with that magazine full. I really like the grip texture. It is different for this model. It's more aggressive, and it feels really nice in the hand. And I don't have to adjust my grip between shots. And it is just a tack driver.
It's hard to find more value in a single box than what you get with the TTI Combat. That's sort of a Canik trademark, everything but the kitchen sink in a box at a budget-friendly price. MSRP for the TTI Combat is $950, but until supply starts to catch up with demand, you might need to beware of shady dealers. So, after several hundred rounds downrange, what is my opinion? Even if you don't like bling, there's a lot about the TTI Combat to catch your eye. It's made for competition, and it's meant to give you what you need without breaking the bank. Literally everything you need to shoot a match except for a belt and a magazine pouch is in this box. The gun itself is match ready. Even the fussiest trigger diva should be pretty happy with the stock trigger on the TTI Combat. I found it to be flawless at hitting small steel targets downrange, but I didn't necessarily make my best group on paper with it. I'm not quite sure why that is just yet, but I'll spend more time with it and figure that out.
Okay, you're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to use reloads or hand loads when you're doing accuracy testing because, well, I mean, there's lots of obvious reasons, right? In the case of a gun like this, this is a competition gun. Now, if I was going to shoot this gun in competition, I would be shooting hand load ammo. And I have a lot of faith in my hand loads. I've been loading them the same way for many years, and I have always had great results. So I'm going to try 10 of those.
The 2 ejection malfunctions occurred with 18-round magazines, one that came with the TTI Combat and one that I borrowed from the rival S. This is another area where more time and more rounds are needed to determine whether it's a concern. If you're just looking for a nice range gun or something for home defense, this is probably more than you need and costs more than you need to spend. But if you want to shoot competitively, do some intense training, or just want a great all-purpose handgun, this one does tick all the boxes. I plan to compare this to the Rival and the Rival S very soon, so be looking for that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I like to read them and even chime in on the discussion from time to time. You can really help my channel and help keep content flowing by hitting like and being a subscriber. I'm on Patreon if you want to support me that way, and you'll usually get early access to videos like this. Look in the description of this video and you'll see several discount codes and affiliate links. You can save significant money on products that I use and recommend, like the steel targets from TA Targets. This is just an opinion. Thanks for watching.